Next topic I would like to discuss is the border dispute. The border dispute. Okay, and in the border dispute between India and China, there is no international border. We have not decided on the international border. What we call it as LAC, line of actual control. Okay, LAC, line of actual control, and in this line of actual control, we have three or maybe four areas we can say. One is called the western sector, then the middle sector, the eastern sector, and we can also talk about Sikkim. Okay. So, western sector, the middle sector, eastern sector and Sikkim. Okay. So, four areas we can divide the line of control into four, and we have not settled the border dispute between India and China even now. That is why the problems are there. Now, and as far as the western sector is concerned, now let me talk about the western sector. This is the Aksai Chin area. Okay. So, since we have not since we have not decided the border, the international border has not been fixed. Whatever we are showing as India's border is India's claim. Okay, whatever border we are showing, this is a claim by India. This is not the actual border where we are holding. Okay, please understand this. So, this is only the claim. It is not the actual line where we are actually holding. Okay. So, this is the distinction you have to make. Okay. So, there is a distinction between what we are holding and where we are claiming. So, whatever boundary line we are showing right now, see for example, so let me insert a couple of pictures you will understand. Just hold on. Say for example, this boundary line which we are showing, okay, this is the line which we are claiming, but actually we are holding much smaller than that, the much smaller area than this. Say in this also you please see. Now, this is the boundary line which we are claiming. So, this is the boundary line which we are claiming right now, you can see that. But what are we, and this is the boundary line, our claim. But we are holding much less than that. Okay. We are holding much less than that, and you can see that this blue color line, this is the line of control with Pakistan. With Pakistan, this is the line. And in Aksai Chin we have captured it. So, we have this. With China, our line is this, quite unfortunate that the line is only this, and in that also we have no clarity. Okay, this is where India is holding right now. So, what India has is only this much. Okay. This inside this portion, that is the only thing we are having. So, this is POK, this is COK, and you can also see a small area here. This is a valley, which was ceded by Pakistan to China in 1963. It is called Saksgam Valley. You can see, it is written also there. You please see this. Pakistan to China. Okay, this has been the area ceded to or ceded by Pakistan to China in 1963. Claimed by India, but it has been captured by, it is with China right now. Siachen Glacier here, you can see this, it is controlled by India, claimed by Pakistan, okay, no doubt regarding this. And Aksai Chin, the western sector, this is Aksai Chin we are talking, this is the western sector we are talking. I hope you can see this properly. And controlled by China since 1962 war. Okay, claimed by India, and you can see a couple of places which were in news. One is this, the Daulat Beg Oldie. This is where India has, it is very close to the Karakoram Pass. This is the Karakoram Pass that I can show you separately also, India and physical, you please see the Karakoram Pass, Karakoram range, and of course, I mean it is not shown in this. Let me show you India and the states, Jammu and Kashmir, you can see this. You see Karakoram Pass, very close to the Depsang plains, you can see there. The Karakoram Pass, very close to the Karakoram Pass is the Daulat Beg Oldie. Okay, Daulat Beg Oldie is very close to, this is the highest, that is an airstrip we have constructed recently, and to reach there we have constructed a road also. Now this Daulat Beg Oldie road we are saying, okay, through Galwan Valley, and it is starting from, just a second, that is the highest airfield, Daulat Beg Oldie is the highest airfield, and we are constructing a 255 kilometer road, 255 kilometer road. This red color is the road which we have constructed along the line of control, and it is starting from Darbuk, then to the Shiok, okay, Shiok is somewhere here, and going to 255 kilometer long up to Daulat Beg Oldie. Okay, this DBO is the there is the airstrip which you are talking, and it is very close to the Karakoram Pass. It is on the other side of the pass, it seems. So this is the thing, and the disputed area where the fighting took place in this in this June July time, we had fight in the Galwan Valley, fighting in the hot springs, and also in the lake, the Pangong So lake. This is a lake, and the boundary line along, again it is going through this. So this time the dispute is related to this western sector. This is called the western sector. This is the whole region is called the western sector, and after this June, the fighting, and June 15th we had a fight, a bloody fight, and in that we lost 20 soldiers. India lost 20 soldiers. We are claiming that China lost 43 soldiers. We do not know. China has never accepted it, but we have accepted that we lost, including one officer, we lost 20 soldiers. And the dispute is related to the position of the line. See, the problem is we have drawn this line. This line, when it goes to the ground, okay, when it goes to the ground, there is always, it is quite wide. Okay. So now, on ground, this kind of a line, what happens is the width of the line increases. I mean, if I expand it just like that, when I, you can see this. So the same way, on ground this line itself may be around 10 kilometers thick. Okay. There is a 10-kilometer thick line on ground. So, the problem is regarding the interpretation of the line, and according to many critics of India or other many independent experts, in this skirmishes China has actually advanced and almost 1000 square kilometers of area, which China was not holding earlier, now China is trying to hold right now. Okay. So, there is a dispute of almost 1000 square kilometers. Okay. When when I reduce it, you can see, this is a small line, that small line becomes quite big on ground, almost 10 kilometers. 10 kilometers wide ultimately on ground, and we are not able to decide on those exact location where we are having the boundary. So, along the Galwan Valley, along the Hot Spring, along the Pangong Tso Lake, all these places there were dispute. It is a question of almost 1000 square kilometers, but otherwise this Aksai Chin is a cold desert. Okay. Let us also not forget that this is a cold desert, and India lost territory right now. There is no dispute regarding this, but of course the government will not accept, the government will not even discuss this issue, that is okay, but the fact of the matter is miscalculated, or rather we whatever calculations we had about China and the Chinese leadership, and the Chinese leader, China led by Xi Jinping, Prime Minister Modi used to think that he has a good relationship, or he can have a good relationship with him. Many visits have taken place and many one-to-one talks were there, and we had a last time between India and China, the talks in Chennai, what you call Chennai Connect. We were talking about we have a special connection and it is very easy, this, that, all those things we have said, but ultimately nothing happened, and now the way the China has reacted and even attacked and captured the territory, it is a shock to all of us. Okay. Now, what is the background behind this? Now, this is the thing, and now let me talk about the background behind this western sector. See, this Aksai Chin region. Now, let me just try to add one more map into it. Just a second, let me. When you see this map, you will get some idea. See, we are talking about, this is a shape of China. See, this is China, and most of China, when you talk about China, one interesting thing about China I would like to say is that, from if you put a point here in the corner of India, China in Arunachal Pradesh, and the top point here, if you draw a line, almost 80% of Chinese population is living in this side, and in this side only 20%. Okay, 80% in one side and 20% on the other side. So, there is a the eastern side is the populated region, west is mostly desert. Okay, the west is mostly desert, and this region is especially, this is the Aksai Chin we are talking right now. Aksai Chin we are talking right now, and this is a region of full of mountains. This is the if you look at the map, you can see Asia and physical map, you please understand. This is a region of the Kunlun Shan. You see Kunlun Shan is written here, Kunlun Shan, and the plate of Tibet in between, and you can see Altun Shan, Kunlun Shan, and this is the plateau of Tibet, and on the other side of that mountain we have the Tarim Basin, Taklamakan. Taklamakan desert. Okay, the word, the Takla, there is no hair on head, that is the meaning, and is a bald area. No, there is no what you call say no vegetation. Okay, so Taklamakan Tarim basin. You can see river Tarim also there, and this river is ending in that lake. It is flowing from here from the Karakoram range, and it is flowing into a lake here, and this is a, so that is separated, and this Tarim basin and this desert, that is called the what you call Uyghur province. Okay, Xinjiang Uyghur province. Okay, so let me just say the westernmost region, you can see the Xinjiang is written. Now you see this, you will understand. This is Xinjiang Uyghur, and this is a desert region separated by this Kunlun Shan and that Altun Shan. You see Altun Shan here in the north, Kunlun Shan in the south. So, a series of parallel mountains. The way we have a series of parallel mountains along the Himalayas here, the same thing there, the Kunlun Shan and Altun Shan. Shan is in Chinese, it is mountain, and this region is Tibet. Okay, south of this mountain is Tibet. Tibet, in Chinese it is Xizang or Tibet, and in the north it is that Xinjiang Uyghur. See, both these are autonomous territories or autonomous regions of China. Okay, these are autonomous regions of China. Okay, let me just what is the speciality of autonomous region? These are the regions, okay, autonomous regions of China. There are 5 autonomous regions. Okay, there are 5 autonomous regions in China, and all these 5 regions, what is the common thing? The common thing is the ethnic Han population. See, the majority Chinese population are known as ethnic Han population. Ethnic Hans, like we have Aryans and Dravidians, or say the Mongoloid race in the northeastern states. So, the same way this Chinese majority, the majority of the Chinese are called the Han population. So, in these 5 autonomous regions, this ethnic Han population is in minority. Ethnic Hans are not majority, other communities are. Okay. So, one is this, I already said the Xinjiang Uyghur. Which are the 5 autonomous territories? 1 Xinjiang, number 2 is Tibet, because here Uyghur people are in majority. Uyghur people are Muslims, they are Turkestan people, the Central Asian people. Okay, that is an extension of Central Asia, Turkestan we can say. Uyghuris, they practice Islam. Tibet, so they are the Tibetan people, they are Buddhists. Majority of the people are Buddhists. Similarly, in the north, surrounding Mongolia, we have a territory called Inner Mongolia. Okay, in the north, this is called Inner Mongolia. Mongol people are in majority there. Okay, the third community we can say it is Inner Mongolia, or it is also known as Nei Mongol. See, these are the kind of territories, the autonomous territories which they are given. These are the territories where they have serious problems in the majority community, the Chinese community are not present there. And then in further south here, south of this, called Ningxia, somewhere here, another territory Ningxia. Okay, it is called Ningxia, okay, Ningxia, and finally, there is another Ningxia is there, and finally they have one more, that is called one second, let me just, yeah, that is Guangxi. Guangxi is here. So, in the Guangxi autonomous region, okay, the Guangxi autonomous region, this is Guangxi, this is Ningxia, this is Inner Mongol, then we have Tibet, then we have Xinjiang, okay, 5 autonomous territories of China. Now, the specialty I already said, the ethnic Han majority are not majority people here, they are only minorities here. Now, see, the issue is in the autonomous regions, they are supposed to have some autonomy and all, actually only on paper, actually there is no autonomy, and the biggest issue is the majority community have no faith. They always look at these in autonomous regions with suspicion. They always want better control. They want that military, the hard power. They try to control this territory by using force rather than by convincing the people that you should be part of China and things like that. So, they feel that the China feels that to control these 2 outlying territories, Xinjiang and Tibet, they need better connectivity, and one big issue as far as this Tibet and Xinjiang is concerned, the presence of these mountains in between. This Kunlun Shan I already said, and the Altun Shan. So, but the only natural connectivity between Xinjiang and Tibet is through Aksai Chin, because the valley here is aligned in such a way that it is a natural connectivity. So, this Aksai Chin is very important for China, because it provides a natural connectivity between Xinjiang and Tibet. Okay. So, I am repeating, Aksai Chin is very important for China. Aksai Chin is very important for China because it provides a natural connectivity, because through Aksai Chin the valley is such a way that it can easily travel from Xinjiang to Tibet very easily. So, for China this Aksai Chin region is strategically very important. It is very, very important for them. That is why they are so keen to hold this territory. In fact, they have even in early 1950s itself, they constructed, okay, they have constructed a 1200 kilometer long road, okay, right from Kashgar, sorry, you can see Kashgar, right from Kashgar to Tibet, almost 1200 kilometer long, 1200 kilometer long road they have constructed in early 1950s, and out of which this Aksai Chin road 179 kilometers pass through Aksai Chin. Okay, 179 kilometers of this national highway is passing through Aksai Chin, and in fact they started constructing the road early 1950s. India was not even aware of it at that time. By the time we were aware, they have already constructed the road, because they are holding the territory. See, in fact, China was right from the beginning holding this territory, and they have a lot of strategic interest in this, and that is why they always claim this territory right from the beginning. Okay. Now, if you look at the history of this territory, see, Jammu and Kashmir, please understand, it is not black and white, or it is not that simple when you talk about the problems between India and China, because the Jammu and Kashmir was a kingdom, it was under subsidiary alliance with India, and this Jammu and Kashmir, when they joined Indian Union, the Maharaja of Jammu and Kashmir said that this is my territory, but many of these territories claimed by Jammu and Kashmir leadership, it was not actually with them. Or this Aksai Chin region, if you look, there is hardly any evidence to suggest that we actually controlled and occupied this territory, okay, hardly any evidence in history. Okay. There is hardly any evidence in history to suggest that we actually controlled and ruled this region even by the Jammu and Kashmir kings. Only in the 18th century and 1780s or so, the kings of Punjab once in I think 1780s, they had an expedition, they have gone into Aksai Chin and those areas, but we captured, but we never held that territory because it is a cold desert. There is hardly any population, only nomadic tribes are there, only nomadic tribes. This is not a region occupied by in a large quantity of people, it is a cold desert, nothing grows here, very, very dry region, because it is a rain shadow region. So, this is the Aksai Chin is a rain shadow region. Aksai Chin is a rain shadow region. And we do not have much evidence to suggest that we have actually occupied this territory in the past. Forget about British India, even by the kings who were there, who are ruling, there is no clear evidence even now. But we used to claim, and that is why in olden days we used to talk about the forward regions as what you call frontiers. You might have heard about the Northwest Frontier Province or Northeast Frontier Agency, NEFA, for the Northeastern. Arunachal Pradesh was known as Northeast Frontier Agency, whereas we had a Northwest Frontier Province now in Pakistan. British India's frontier. Frontier is a large area. What is a frontier? Frontier is a large area which can be termed as the end of an administration, and beyond that the other administration will begin, but there is no clear cut boundary line and all in a frontier. So, this buffer zone, frontiers and all were there during the past, clear cut boundary lines being drawn, not everywhere, okay, and this was a frontier region. Now, in 1850, and if you look at the history a bit, because since it was a frontier region, in 1850s, one of the Survey of India officials, see British India had a Survey of India organization, I think right from 1750s, okay. If you look at the Survey of India, it is one of the oldest organizations in India, okay. Survey of India is one of the oldest organizations in India, and if you look at it was 1767, okay, it was set up in 1767 by British India. Just see Survey of India, one of the oldest in India we can say, and this is under the Department of Science and Technology right now, is the oldest scientific department of Government of India, 1767, and this survey in 1850s, please listen carefully, I mean before typing too many questions, okay. So, in 1850s, the Survey of India official called W.H. Johnson, please listen carefully, baad mein puchna, okay, because I am talking about some of the very controversial issues between India and China, try to understand with a cool head, okay, rather than typing too many questions right now. W.H. Johnson suggested at that time in 1850s a line between India and China or between India and Tibet, okay, he had to show a line, and W.H. Johnson suggested a line, say something like this, okay. I am just giving a rough indication, this is called the W.H. Johnson line. That was in 1850s. In 1850s, W.H. Johnson suggested a line which is known as the Johnson line, but it was too north, it was shown too much north, or rather it was drawn such a way that even the British officials, were not very comfortable with this kind of a northern boundary which was suggested by W. H. Johnson between Jammu and Kashmir and, or this is a British India, because Jammu and Kashmir is a subsidiary alliance of British India. So, naturally it will be seen as the British India boundary. So, he suggested something like this, which was not acceptable even to the Britishers at that time. Subsequently, in 1897, another survey official, Ardagh, and modified the Johnson line, which is known as the Johnson-Ardagh line. Okay. Johnson-Ardagh line, and his line, or rather their modified line of 1897 is by and large very close to what India is claiming right now. It is by and large close to what India claims right now. Okay. Not exactly, but very close to what India is claiming right now. That is called the Johnson-Ardagh line, which was suggested in 1897. Both are in a survey of India officials, but this line, even though this idea was talked about, it was never presented to China officially, because the Chinese administration at that time, there was confusion. So, this was not presented to them at that time. Meantime, there was another issue which is going on. And if you look at the this region, right now you see early 1900, that is a very important time, and this is a time when just let me just add. Yeah. So, just see the Asia map, okay, for your understanding. This is the Asia which I am talking about right now, and early 1900, there are three major kingdoms, big fellows in this region. One is of course our British India right from Afghanistan, Pakistan, India, Nepal, Bhutan, Myanmar, even Malaysia, all these, except Thailand, including, this is the British Indian territory at that time. So, British India, huge territory, okay, by British India. Then another big territory or big country at that time was definitely China, including Tibet, okay, Mongolia and the east, you can see, okay, they had huge control over this region. This is China. And a third country at that time which were very influential, sorry, I have not shown Afghanistan, I made a mistake. Afghanistan should be here, okay, in this, yes, this is Afghanistan, this is how British India was there. And the third major power was Russia, and the Russians were holding the rest of the Asia till the east, and right from half of Europe, Russia was holding. So, three major powers in this region, and by early 1900s, there was tremendous pressure from Russian czars, and both British India and China became quite alerted because the expansionist intentions of Russia, and there was a fear at that time that Russia will push further and they may even capture Tibet. So, both British India and China became very cautious, and during that time, because of this fear about Russia entering into or rather occupying or rather capturing, in 1907, British India and China signed an agreement. British India and China signed an agreement in 1907 saying that we will not, British India will not do anything along the border, especially with the Tibet and all, without consulting China. Rather, we said that we wanted to have a compromise with China so that we can combinedly prevent Russia from entering into this region. And during that time, because of the looming threat of the Russians into this side, in early 1900, okay, because the looming threat by by Russia in this region, British India suggested a boundary line with China. Okay, British India suggested a line which is known as the Macdonald-Macartney line. Okay, which is called Macdonald-Macartney line. Macdonald-Macartney line. Again, two Survey of India officials, they suggested, because now we wanted to, because that aggressive posture with China we do not want, because a common enemy is coming. We want to avoid that aggressive posture. So, what we suggested at that time was that this boundary line between India and China can be considered by using, or rather now the intention is to prevent Russia from capturing this region, and we wanted to have some sort of a compromise with China, and we suggested at that time that the boundary line could be the watershed of the rivers here, and there are two major rivers. One is, of course, this is the Indus river, Indus system, and the other is the Tarim river. Okay, so there are, one is the Indus system and the other is the Tarim river. So, those areas, the suggestion was that those areas where Indus is drawing its water, it will be with India. Those areas where Indus drawing its water will be with India, and those areas where Tarim river is drawing its water, it will be with China. So, in that logic, or rather by using that, this Macdonald line, when that line was suggested, this line is by and large what China is claiming right now, because that is where China is getting maximum area. Okay. So, this Chinese claim today is by and large based on that particular line. It is not exactly, please do not confuse, the Macdonald line. India is claiming by and large the Johnson-Ardagh line. So, this in early 1900, this Macdonald line was given, or rather this is proposed to China, but at that time China did not respond. So, we did not get any, there is no conclusion about this. So, this was suggested at that time, but China did not respond. So, early 1900s, so avoid confusion, I am repeating. So, there are three discussions I am talking. One is the earlier, the Johnson-Ardagh line, Johnson-Ardagh line 1897. This was not presented to China. Macdonald-Macartney line in early 1900s presented to China, but China did not respond. China did not respond. So, there is no response from China, but it is presented to China. And then subsequently what happened is, in 1910, the Chinese dynasty which is ruling China, the Qing dynasty, they collapsed. And once the Qing dynasty collapsed, Tibet, Uyghur, all these territories declared independence. Okay, all these territories declared independence. So, and by this time, the Russian Revolution took place in 1917, and the Tsars were defeated, or rather they were killed, they were thrown out. The Russian Revolution took place subsequently, things have completely changed, there is no pressure. So, what has happened is, after 1900s, there was no agreement between India and China regarding which is the line. Two lines were proposed by India. One was the Johnson-Ardagh line, which was not, but China was aware that there is a line like this. Macdonald-Macartney line in early 1900s, because of the Russian threat, that is also there. And both the British India used both the lines, because it was not a major concern at that time. These lines, both the lines were used by British India without agreeing, or rather there is no agreement between British India and China regarding this, but both the lines were used according to the choice. Some people used the Johnson-Ardagh line, some used the Macdonald-Macartney line, but there was no clear agreement between India and China regarding that. In 1947, when we got independence, still there was no clarity. It was, the boundary line was not demarcated when we got independence. But only in 1954, on July 1st, India, the Survey of India was asked, the Prime Minister, the Indian Prime Minister asked the Survey of India to demarcate the line, because this confusion was going on. He was asked to demarcate the line, and the Survey of India demarcated and claimed this Johnson-Ardagh line, or by and large the Johnson-Ardagh line. So we claimed that, but China never recognized that. In 1959, that is what these days China is even talking. In Chinese, in 1959, the Chinese premier at that time, Zhou Enlai, the Chinese premier, see Chinese premier is the word equivalent for prime minister. Okay, the Chinese premier Zhou Enlai suggested in 1959. In fact, I will be talking about in the eastern sector, the McMahon line, I will be talking about that separately. China never recognized the McMahon line subsequently, and China, it seems, Zhou Enlai recommended that wherever we have the line of control, both the sides should withdraw by 20 kilometers. Okay. The Chinese suggestion in 1959 was that wherever the soldiers are standing, whether it is in the eastern sector, whether it is in the western sector, the soldiers should withdraw by 20 kilometers, and both the soldiers should not enter into that region, which was not acceptable to India. So that is what nowadays they are even talking about that. So this line of control was never demarcated, and this 1959 also came. 1954 onwards, we started claiming this Johnson line, but there was no clarity regarding, even though we claimed the territory we are not actually occupying it. By 1962, please remember, by 1962 we started sending our troops to forward locations for claiming our Indian claim, and the Chinese were also sending their troops. There was no fighting and all. We used to go and stand our location where we think as the boundary. China used to come this side and India used to go behind and stand. All those drama was going on. There was no indication of any war, but suddenly in 1962 China opened the war, started killing the Indian soldiers standing. And ultimately led to the war. And the line of actual control right now